Origin just wants to and this is the real story of Killdozer and Marvin Heemeyer. I don't know, that's how I guess pronounce it. Yeah, featuring Lorloge and the Fat Electrician. Yeah, I watched Killdozer video from, who was the Mad Lads? It was a channel like that, right? I don't know, I'm forgetting. Like, I watched the Killdozer video, and I'm pretty sure like other like Quick Sit and things like that. I watched more than one video on Killdozer, I'm guessing. So the whole story is insane, right? And then you realize like stories like that are littered everywhere, like US federal government screwing people. Quick Sit is I'm pretty sure that's the channel where I watched like the FBI thing, right? On a ranch, how they attacked and things. It's insane, right? When you hear about it, you just think like, how the hell is that even real? This all feels like a, like a movie setting type of way, not real life. But apparently people get screwed like that. And then you hear about all these like conspiracy theorist people, all those like out there type of people like worrying about federal government. It feels like, okay, maybe that's not that far-fetched, all right? Because shit like that does happen, right? So Killdozer, how he got screwed, right? So somebody like there was no entrance, right? Somebody like put a factory there. I remember something like that. Like he was screwed on that way, I guess, at local level, right? Where he didn't get permission for road and things like that, and he was just basically screwed. His business was basically screwed because of it. Like, if common sense doesn't prevail even at the local level like that, even in your own like like city level, right? Your city court and law level, like, okay, how the hell am I supposed to do this when I don't even have road? How am I supposed to like keep the business up? And people are like, oh, not my problem. And people lean on technicalities, like if it's in the paper, I don't know, I can't do nothing about it. But yeah, but what am I supposed to do with it? I don't have a road, right? If common sense doesn't prevail, that's just insane, right? And that's what probably happened with the Killdozer. But yeah, we're gonna, I guess, the Federation take on it, right? This is this popped up on my recommended feed. It was like 2 days old video, and I'm like, I have to watch this. Federation talking about Killdozer. I'm surprised he hasn't made. I'm guessing he's gonna make a video about it. If not, I think he's gonna make a Fat Files type of video, because I don't know if this is not military history, so I'm guessing he might make Fat Files video. I'm guessing he'll make a video about it because this is so Federation, right? So let's watch this one.
Is a series of 4 tapes. There is no written manifesto. It's not even really a manifesto. There's a lot of guys like the Unabomber, they wrote it out, and there was some structure to it. They were trying to make a point.
Well, yeah, Marvin was too busy welding.
Well, no, he hit record and was like, God sent me on a mission.
Yeah. Literally, he's like, yeah, so one of my friends said I should probably write down the way I'm feeling, but I don't feel like writing it, so I'll just do this, record a tape, I guess. And he's like, so, back in 91, it just starts, and it like just goes. And so,
how long are the tapes altogether?
It's like 12
2 hours, 44 minutes. 2 hours, 44
only 2
minutes.
hours?
It's only 2 hours and 44 minutes, yeah. But he goes through the whole thing, and at one point, it seems like maybe he got in his car and started driving because the audio gets really weird. So I paid for a transcription service and just had the whole thing transcribed, but the problem is it kind of gave up. So you wrote
his manifesto?
Yeah, exactly. I gave up. There's something really dark about the fact that I had an AI transcribe his manifesto. God. Now that I think about it, that's a little dystopian.
Uncle Ted would be very sad.
Uncle Ted would be very confused, if we're being honest.
You just put some really great learning potential into the AI system, though.
Oh God, you're teaching it that?
Right. Imagine that AI is like, oh, so that's how it works. That's how humans are, right? So this is the Killdozer whole story is such a reflection of how like modern corporate world and humanity kind of works and screws people over at that federal and like government level. It's scary if like, I mean, obviously AI knows about it because it's on the internet, it's famous enough. AI always search internets to learn things, which is scary. Internet has everything, so AI probably knows all the dirty secrets of humanity. So AI probably knows about Killdozer. So the more complex AI becomes, the first question will be, what the fuck? That would be the question, like, how the, what?
Like, I agree with this. I agree with this.
Now you got 400 up-armored cyber trucks that are going into the metropolitan areas.
You type into ChatGPT and you're like, what do I do? I'm having this problem with my HOA. And they're like, I suggest purchasing
and those SUVs, right? Tesla SUVs with dancing thing, right? It has a dancing feature. There you go.
A Matsu D.
Well, actually,
oh my god.
The AI says Terminators. It's just a Matsu.
There are different.
Tread on them. As soon as AI learns how to pour reinforced concrete, we're fucked. Avoid the hardware store.
Don't teach it.
No, I go the other way. Marvin, watch out. There's a basement.
We just hide in Home Depots.
Reinforce the radiator.
Yeah, that too. Oh my god. But yeah, so I mean, if you look at the whole situation with the tapes, I had to transcribe them and I had to read them through. But the transcription software gave up. It gave up on punctuation, on formatting, any of that about a third of the way through. So you have like the first third of it, probably not even. I'd say probably the first fifth is formatted as paragraphs. Some of them don't make a ton of sense. It missed certain lines that he had spoken. I had to re-listen to it. Then you get about 20% of the way through, and it's just a wall of text with no periods, commas, paragraph breaks, anything, and it just goes for the next hour and a half.
So the AI slowly lost its grip on reality.
Literally, I think I
just
drove
started
the AI.
ranting at you.
And here's the thing, I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's just the length of the video or something like that. No, I ran through our entire Donner Party video, which is 2.5 hours long. I ran it through that system, came out perfect. Exactly to the way I'd spoken it. And I was like, oh no, it's the AI just went, I can't keep track of what's going on. So I had to work my way through that, and what I would do is I would take, all right, so the movie Tread, which is made by Patrick Brower, who was the editor of Sky High News, I took that, and I took Mark Meyer's tapes, and I went, okay, like let's compare them. What doesn't match? And then anything that didn't match, I went through and I checked, okay, are there news articles? Is there a witness testimony? Was there a court case? Something like that, and I'll pull it all together. And what I found, interestingly enough, every single time there was a disconnect between Marv Meyer's version of events and Patrick Brower's version of events, it was Patrick Brower that was lying. Every time. Which was, interesting. It makes you think, right? Things that make you go, But part of the problem was what you're dealing with here is this is not something that was really heavily covered on the ground outside of Granby. You had Granby's local journalists, who was basically Patrick Brower, who's just reporting his feelings on the topic and what the people who are still alive have to say. Marv, of course, is dead. Nobody knows he had any sort of tapes yet, any of it. So I guess you can give them the credit of maybe they didn't totally know why they were being attacked. But
I'm pretty sure you could put together some context
probably.
clues.
Like that guy I really pissed off.
Yeah, seriously, man. Imagine like when this was happening. I bet 99% of people who saw the coverage probably thought some, I don't know, like, what is a baseball cap wearing hillbilly or something went insane or something. That's what people would have thought, because probably that's how the picture would have been painted. Which kind of pisses me off, right? Context is the power, right? And I'm not saying it's malicious. Sometimes people just don't know. Even the news channels don't know. But sometimes the way picture get painted is really effed up. And like later on, when you realize more detail, like, wait a minute, that's not the point at all, right? It was completely different, right? There was a recent news story I watched about like two, I don't exactly know, but firemen or something, a man and a woman, right? And there was something like a tragedy of, I don't know, like something like some romantic, we were saying a tragedy of lovebirds or something like that. But when you read the story, it sounds like the woman, right, who was dumped by this fireman, basically went insane. Who called this fireman? Fireman went there to, save her because she was threatening to do something, or I don't know. And then she basically ended him and herself or something, which was the whole sad story, right? Mental issue 101 type of way. But the story was molded in a way, felt like someone like, you're not painting the right picture here, right? You sounds like some kind of a tragedy happened to some, like some outside forces did some tragedy or something, or like it's not anyone's fault or something, even though clearly it was one person's fault amongst those two, mental issue or not. So the way people molded the story, it feels like very weird.
Drove a bulldozer through my business. Why?
Well, here's the thing.
Why, Gary?
Why, Gary? Why?
Here's how you know that they knew they had done something wrong. When after he left Cody Docheff's plant and he hit Mountain Park Electric?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he hit Mountain Park Electric. The moment he drove onto that property, every single one of the people he eventually was going to go after knew they were a target and started evacuating.
Yeah, because didn't he got in a bulldozer fight with someone?
Yeah, with Cody Docheff.
Oh, yeah.
And so...
I'm sorry, that feels like one of those action movies featuring Jason Statham or Dwayne Johnson, the old Dwayne Johnson or something, I don't know. Like, who's like Drive or whatever, right? Movies like that, like somebody's wrong and they're coming after you. How the fuck every single one of them knew that they are the one who's after, right? I mean, I mean, sure, you could say like maybe, like in some scenarios, if somebody can harass you. But even then, unless you know you're at fault, you would not think that he's going to completely go after you or something. So they know what they did type of way.
You didn't do anything wrong.
I think it was
there's
his
video
son
of it, I
got
think.
in a
No, it's a
bulldozer.
video. I don't think it was it was something.
It was
way
another
lighter than a
piece of
bulldozer.
it.
It was
there were
it was
two
like a
things.
backhoe
Yeah,
or something. It was something that stood no chance against a bulldozer, and just literally just pushed him right out of the fucking way.
I just like he was like, I got a backhoe. Back out, and
No, it
he's
was
like,
like-
let's do this thing.
Big boy battle bots, dude. He came out and they were like ready to go at it. And then fucking Marvin just like pushed him out of the way into a ditch.
Like somebody going ape shit with a katana, and you're just like, cool, I got a pocket knife.
And they tried shooting at the thing.
Yeah.
you gotta try. In fairness. What if it's? I mean, it's like the Death Star with the exhaust port.
Yeah.
Which in fairness was his fatal flaw.
Did you know they threw flashbangs? Yeah, they threw
Look, man, wouldn't something like 50 BMG or something would have been like too much for it, right? They would be able to pierce it. I don't know. Like when people don't walk around with 50 BMG and like you can't really aim it unless you're a good sniper, right? You can't really use that. I don't know. But yeah, wouldn't that be like, I don't know, how thick was the like metal plate or something? I don't know.
flashbangs down there.
yeah.
Like,
Which didn't work, did it?
but also I'm thinking about that. I'm like, you threw flashbangs down the exhaust. You could have blown the thing up. Like,
It was diesel.
still.
No, the whole thing came to an abrupt end, and it only took one round at 357, though.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Yeah, crazy.
I'll do it.
R.I.P.
But yeah, I mean, if you look
was,
into the story,
The moral is don't with the dude's name Gary. Apparently.
no, he was Marv.
Oh
Marvin
shit, my
Niemeyer,
bad.
Yeah.
So Marv was just, I mean, for the people
Gary
that
and
know,
Marvin.
we can go
Sorry.
into this
Yeah.
just explaining.
I'm
like,
happy
if
to
you don't-
explain. Yeah, I
if
mean, we
you
have the full
don't
video
know
on
what
it for anybody who
is.
wants
Yeah.
to see like
Yeah.
see it
Great.
laid out in
Yeah.
order.
Because Marv was a like guy from your video. Like,
Yeah.
he
looked
was
totally-
very like.
He was well liked. Yeah, everybody from he lived up in Grand Lake, which was about 16 miles away. Everybody in Grand Lake had only nice things to say about him. Like I could not find a single example of somebody who lived in the town he lived in who had something bad to say.
Until that one thing.
Well, no,
No,
that was
no,
the thing.
he
Is
moved.
so he owned a business in Granby. He lived in Grand Lake. So everyone in Grand Lake loved him. Interestingly enough, the only people they interviewed about Marv's character for Tread were people who were negatively affected by him in Granby. They also interviewed people from Grand Lake who were friends with him, but nobody from Granby who knew him except the people that were targeted.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder, did the people in Granby also like him and they just weren't saying anything? Because if you look at the statements in the newspapers, that's what it suggests, is that
I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, if he basically destroyed a lot of the town, right? Even if you like him, like, you don't want to say anything good at that point because you're alienating your own town. They would be pissed off, right? I don't know.
nobody saw this coming. Because here's the thing. Everyone in town, from what I can tell, was well aware that he was building an armored bulldozer, and nobody thought about why.
Which even he did.
I mean,
even,
to be fair, like, how they're supposed to say, like, somebody just gonna go completely, like, for Hollywood here, right, with the bulldozer? Like, I don't know, like, it's a passion project. Maybe he'll just, like, put some, I don't know, maybe it's doing for some kind of, like, television or something. You know, they're not gonna think that he's just gonna go destroy everything.
like in his tapes where he's
Yeah.
like, he kind of took it as like a sign from God
Yeah.
or something. He's like, yeah, the inspector just walked right through
Yeah,
here,
that's-
saw what I was building, and was like, okay.
No, his friends would.
Yeah, that's the best thing, right? Like, there was a guy who goes there and he's like, okay, this is it. Like, I guess I'm gonna get caught. And like, this is interesting. Just walks away, like nothing. Like, he's like, oh, this is God's sign. Like, I can do this.
Come over and hang out, and they were like, yep. He's like, Steve came over today, and he saw that I'm building a giant concrete reinforced Killdozer, and he didn't bring it up, so I'm taking this to mean that God has sent me on a mission.
It's literally that.
Yeah, and it's on the one hand, you're kind of like, most of the time somebody's like, yeah, God has sent me on a mission to do this thing. You're like, come on, man, you're delusional. In this case, I kind of get it.
In fairness, if my friends came over to my house and saw I was building a concrete reinforced bulldozer, they'd know fucking exactly what I was going to do with
You
it.
know,
Connor, you
That's the problem. See, that's the power of hindsight. They would not. The way human psychology is, we don't assume the worst, right? It's come on, man, no way. That's the first response always. Doesn't matter what's happening. Oh man, come on, no way, right? Like, let's say you see a snake, right? If you see a snake, you'll be like, oh shit, that's poisonous. Probably the most dangerous snake ever. then if you don't see a snake and some snake bites you and then you realize it, your first thought, come on, it's probably not poisonous. Like even though you're panicking, that's what's going through your head. So our brain is molded in a way like, yeah, maybe it's like, I don't know, for TV show or something. They're not gonna think like, okay, maybe it's gonna like destroy half of the town.
I'm like,
How we doing, bud?
Connor, let's not do it. Let's not do it at the unsub house. Take it anywhere else.
I'm still windows lighting up at night from the welding.
For the people that don't know, what was the catalyst of this guy deciding to be like, hey, God got a mission for me?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, that is so much more complicated of a question than anybody seems to realize. And like most of the videos I've seen, because most of the coverage I was looking at, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, there was a sewage dispute, so he bulldozed buildings." The worst ones were like,
Wasn't it
he
a road
kept
dispute?
dumping raw sewage into irrigation ditches and wouldn't pay any fines and wouldn't fix his septic tank. So they fined him and then he destroyed the town. And it's like, no.
Yeah, they tried to paint him as a bad. Those are the weird ones where they're just trying to paint him. They're like, he's a bad dude. He was.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there was something. There's a lot of like local things that he was getting screwed out of. But I'm pretty sure that one of the big reason was like he didn't get permission for a road for his shop. Like, how is he supposed to run a shop if there is no road leading to it? How are people going to go to his garage? I'm pretty sure he was running a garage, right? A vehicle garage. How are people going to pull up to his garage if there is no road? And like city wasn't giving permission because there was some factory there or something, right?
So didn't want to pay fines. You're like,
Short version. He buys the property in 1992 at an auction. He's not from Granby. He's not even from Colorado. He's from South Dakota. He moved to Boulder after he got out of the Air Force. Moved up to Grand Lake, and he had a buddy in town in Boulder or maybe Denver, who was like, I wanted to buy some property up there. And so Marv says, I'll look around. He finds this spot. It's an old concrete plant, foreclosure auction. Signs up for it, goes to the auction. He's agreed with his partner. They're willing to pay $66,000 for it. Auction gets up to $50K when you're including, thank you. Auction comes up to $50K when you're including the fees and everything.
Yeah.
He gets it, and this Cody Dochev guy, according to him, walks over and just reads him the riot act about it. And he's like, I was going to buy that property. You need to sell it to me. You know, it had been Cody's property back in the 80s. He had bought it in 72, and it was taken by the banks during the savings and loan crisis. Cody also made some bad business decisions that led to him losing the concrete plant and a whole bunch of people in town losing their jobs. This is all just brushed over in tread.
Wasn't Boulder, not Boulder, Granby was like a good old boy society.
Yeah.
Where it's like if you weren't in the in crowd, like they would just fuck you over.
Oh yeah, there were families there who had been there like a long time.
Yeah.
So when you, sorry, I'm like losing my train of thought a little bit.
welcome to
92 he buys the property, and he won't sell it to Cody Dochev because Cody Dochev won't offer him more than $50,000, and he had agreed to sell it for $66,000 after buying it, so he was going to make a $16,000 profit.
Right.
He was happy about this. He said he'd sell it to Dochev for the $66,000. Dochev wouldn't buy it, and this Gus Harris guy, who was going to help him buy the property, wouldn't give him any more money than that. Gus Harris, of course, owned the property directly south of Marv Heemeyer and would not give him a maintenance easement, which Marv needed because Bud Wilson, the superintendent of the sanitation department, had come down and said, hey, buddy, why don't you join the sewer district? You know, nice and modernized. It's easier. You don't have to pay to have your septic tank emptied. It'll be great. They're like, sure, yeah. Marv said, sure, is there anything I have to do? Do I need an attorney? And they're like, no, we'll fill out all the paperwork for you, and you just have to pay a small fee to get yourself connected. And then you're good to go. And Marv's like, oh, cool, yeah, why not? He wants to ingratiate himself into Granby. In his tapes, he constantly talks about how his goal was to not step on any toes because he already knew that he was, maybe on a little bit of a bad foot.
The irony.
Yeah, well, he constantly talks about how he wanted to be a good guy or tried to be a good guy.
He would do like all the, again, you cannot reiterate how he would just help people. That is the biggest takeaway from your video at the beginning is how much he would just help people, even with the snowmobiles and building the ramrod thing. It's just like, I can drive through trees with my snowmobile.
He would just modify people's snowmobiles. He would add bumpers to them.
Count Dankula and the business. We call this foreshadowing.
Count Dankula.
But yeah, so, I mean, he tries his best, but he needs, he tries to get onto the sewer district, and he goes to the meeting, and they're like, oh, you need a maintenance easement from this guy, Gus Harris, to your south. And he goes, well, I was told all of the paperwork would be done for me. And they're like, well, guess it wasn't. Now, here's the problem. Gus Harris is going to refuse to give him a maintenance easement over and over again. They're like, but part of the problem is that there's no actual coverage of what was said at the meeting. It's just he said, she said.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly. So whatever happened,
Didn't the minutes for the meeting like disappear? There was supposed to be minutes taken.
Somebody claimed he accidentally asked for the October ones, not the September ones, and he needed the September. I don't know. I haven't had a chance to look into that one yet. My guess would be that they gave him the October ones.
40 hours
Sounds like you do no research at all.
Sorry.
You just jerking off for 38 hours and watch trash.
It was 37 of them.
I was helping it for half.
I don't know. As soon as he said like I haven't had chance to look it over, a part of my brain went like, okay, somebody's gonna make some comment about this because he just said he already made a video about it, like research video. But then in my mind, like, oh come on, nobody would. Of course, Brandon's gonna point that out. Of course, he's gonna do.
Which part? What do you think?
Okay.
The good part.
Yeah. So he's told you to get the easement. For some reason, he can't get the easement. He seems to say that the town won't help him get the easement. Go-Sarahs won't give him the easement. The other option they give him is you can pay $80,000 to have a lift installed to connect yourself to the sewer main like 800 feet to your north.
So more than he was going to sell the property for.
Yes, exactly. And the clear goal was to make him go and sell the property to Cody Dochev. And they did a good job. There's no paper trail here. You cannot say that any of this is factual. You can only say it seems like this is what was going on. Because what happens is they try to, they put him in this position.
Yeah, basically the original guy who wants it for 50,000 rubs some shoulders in the town. And they are all ganging up on him. That's the only 80,000. Are you fucking kidding? In something like after watching Clarkson's Farm in UK, it makes sense, right? Like some loss feels like really strong, but they just like demands that. That's the whole Clarkson Farm, like ridiculousness of like all the government things, like how much fines and things they make, demands of European Union, things like that. But in America, come on, in America this shit is gonna happen. Obviously, this is to screw him over.
And he just refuses to fix it, and they're like, what's going on here? But they can't do anything because technically he has not violated any ordinance yet. Because when he bought the property, he was grandfathered into the old system. He would only need to build a sewer extension if he built more on the property.
And remind me again, and for everybody else who's watching, how long was that system that Cody had when he owned it in operation with no problem?
Well, he had bought the property in 1972, and he lost it in 1986.
Yep.
Zero issues.
Yep.
Zero issues. It's one of those things that you're like, okay, maybe there's no concrete evidence, but this is a lot of circumstantial evidence.
Yep.
Small town governments are like this much higher than HOAs.
Yeah.
It's bad.
There's like 6 people and they all own.
Okay, that's saying some shit. Like worse than HOA, like you already know. So I'm guessing a lot of small towns are like that. There you go. See, I always say like if you're gonna go to like, if you were to like go to a foreign country or something, right? You need to know everything about them, right? That applies to all countries because everybody has quirks and you need to know before you get screwed or something. Yeah, obviously in this guy's case, Marvin's case, he went to a different state. Maybe he should have checked all these things. But I guess he just assumed this is America. Fairness. I mean, come on. That's not that much to ask. But clearly he got screwed over.
The companies that run that small town,
Right.
and if you cross them, you're fucked.
It's that typical shit, and you see it all the time in local politics where it's like, oh, that's crazy. You need a permit approved for an apartment complex? It would be really cool if you use rock from my quarry.
Yeah, exactly.
Like little shit like that.
You have to use rock from my quarry.
That's what
Local.
That kind of shit happens everywhere. Obviously in India as well. Like, just like, sometimes you feel like, isn't that like too on the nose? Like you're just being direct about it sometimes. But how is that legal type of way? But I guess you can't make issues about that. Like if you want to work basically in any way. So obviously that's going to be a everywhere type of case. But that wasn't the case, right? Marvin was like ready to like he said, like he didn't want to step on any toes and he was doing everything. But it needs to be something that he can do. He's not going to pay 80,000. He doesn't have that. Right? He's looking to sell it for 60 just to make 16,000 about it. Right? He doesn't have 80,000 lying around. So that's just like they knew that no way he's doing this. They just wanted to screw him over.
Say is these guys who are on the town board, they own the excavation company in town. They own the concrete in town. They own the propane in town. They own everything that's going to go into putting that sewer line in.
Yeah.
So they're the ones who are going to get the job when he has to do it. So they're either going to make money off of him from him putting the sewer line in, or they're going to force him out of town. Their buddy Cody Dochev can get the land back. Now, they do not bug him about it for 6 years, because that's about how long it takes Cody to build up the money to try and restart his business. Because he's been renting land from the Thompson family up north of town, making his concrete. Marv said that it was some of the worst concrete he'd ever used, by the way, which I thought was really funny. Like Marv, in the tapes, Marv is so sassy, it's incredible.
Wait. This was not in the video, and I'm curious now. Did he use Cody's concrete in the Killdozer, or someone else's?
Ooh,
That's an
I
excellent
don't
question.
know. I
If he's
wouldn't be
bitching about the
surprised.
concrete, that makes the most sense.
I mean, how poetic does
I mean, why would he procure some other concrete when it's easier to use Cody's and it's just like, I'm going to use your own concrete to screw you over. Pretty sure he used Cody's at that point.
with that big?
He's like, I've been building a tank essentially to destroy his business, and his concrete fucking sucks.
Exactly.
I don't know if this is gonna stop.
That's the best part, though. In the middle of
30
everything, he's like, yeah, I mean, this guy, he went bankrupt a few years ago, tried to kill himself. Everybody hates him. But yeah, this bitch, like...
Just like you said, sassy. He's like, I'm tired of this. This concrete sucks. At least I'm using his Killdozer. Like, sassy is such a weird word
Yeah,
for a dude
I
that
understand
uses
where
a
you're
Killdozer.
He always sounds so like nonchalant in the tapes too. When I was listening to him, because he'd be like, it's like, and he's like, March 11th, 2004. So yeah, I finished the welds on the armor. They're looking pretty good, I guess. It's like, this man's been spending months building a machine to destroy, and he's like,
You know what that's called?
It's all right.
Autism.
do you know?
that was one of the very first things I'm not even kidding. One of the very first things I said to him while I was researching, one of the very first phone calls like that, I'm like, oh, this dude was fucking autistic, man.
Because they
Yeah, we need to remember the autism is a spectrum. That is what spectrum means. Like there could be any kind of intensity among them. Too many people might be somewhat in that autism spectrum. They don't even know it. So yeah, probably, right? And especially if you're like, oh, look at that, I did this, it looks good. Like you're making some kind of a shed or something where you're going to live your life. No, you're going on basically suicide level of mission, doing ridiculous shit. At that point, you're not just like, like talking about like you building a shed type of way. No, you're either amping it up or like keeping it completely normal. Like, okay, this is done. I built this type of way. No, oh, this is looking good. Maybe I could do something better. No, that's not how you say it.
also, like, autistic people generally, by and large, have that innate like sense of fairness.
Yeah.
And
It's if this isn't fair, and that bothers me to a core.
he was
and I'm gonna do
famously bad at talking to women too.
I didn't say it in the video because I didn't want it to come across as like unintentionally offensive, but no, the man was autistic as hell.
Yeah.
Like, this is a guy who, I'm not sure what he did in the military, but I don't think they taught him how to do that.
No.
So, like, he clearly taught himself how to do some impressive engineering shit.
Look, man, after going to the military, after having that kind of flex, you still cannot like directly approach women or something. Yeah, I mean, there might be autism level, but if that's all you need, there are way too many people who has potential to be that nowadays. If that is the requirement, not being able to talk to women or something.
Especially when you realize he had like cameras wired to TVs
With like
and shit on the
wiper blades
inside, like-
on the cameras.
And this is before YouTube time. There wasn't just readily
GoPro.
information. He's reading books and learning this shit.
What is
This man's got modifying a bulldozer for dummies out. Just
what is YouTube's monetization policy on an instructional video on how to make a Killdozer?
Do you want to find
No.
out?
I kind of do.
I'm not gonna lie.
We'll ask Whistling Diesel in like 6 months.
I'm not gonna lie. Part of the reason that I didn't go through the exact modifications was because I didn't want to risk it.
If a group of dipshits raised a bunch of money and we're gonna give it to you guys, would you want to remake the Tread documentary? Like actually go to Granby and interview people?
Oh hell yeah!
If we paid,
Interesting.
Dude, if we could, we would do it in a heartbeat.
if we paid you
Yeah.
for Pepperbox,
That's so
Dude,
fucking
yeah,
crazy.
yes.
Wow.
100%. 100%.
There you go. Look, this is not just a video. It's like a business meeting. Like, we're going to give you this budget. You're going to do this. There you go. I mean, no, I don't think you can make an instructional video about that one. I'm damn sure know of that. I'm pretty sure literally recently, like past few days, new regulation or something has been passed in YouTube about how you show weapons. I'm thinking in 5 years or so, Brandon won't have his channel or something at this rate, right? About certain type of weapon that you can't even show anymore. Otherwise, it will be instant age restriction, right? And I don't know, like I've been, some of the videos I've been reacting, that I don't know, I'm pretty sure I've said in the past, like some task and purpose one or something like that, right? Even some of the Electrician one. Instantly get age restriction. I'm like, what the hell? There's nothing in that. And like you put it on review, even the manual review, like, yeah, this is just like just said, by the way, there is some cursing word. Like, rule is like for 7 seconds there shouldn't be cursing, there shouldn't be that much of a cursing. So a few times is fine, but that doesn't matter. So they just any means necessary age restricted. So it's becoming more and more now in YouTube, like which type of video you should post. So people like Brandon Herrera, that other video I watched yesterday of this channel, what was that guy? I forgot, the ranch guy, right? The who also Demolition Ranch, right? People like that, like how are they going to have their channels? This is becoming harder and harder. How are they posting videos and not panicking? Like as soon as I post, what if like YouTube just gives me a strike or something? That's insane. But yeah, there was Killdozer. Okay, there was definitely more information in this video than I knew of, and I'm pretty, like I said, I watched 2 or so videos like Mad Lad's guy, right, and Quickseed, and like I'm pretty sure I watched 2-3 videos on that, and like there was even more information in this one, so it was interesting. Look, man, Marvin's whole technique, right, was like not the right way to do it type of way, but he was definitely not in the wrong. This is not the approach. Building something like this is obviously not the approach. Approach should be different. I don't know, go public, go to court, go to Supreme Court, who knows, something. This is not the way. But he was not in the wrong. I mean, come on. Alright, well, that was the real story of Killdozer, featuring Electrician, Lore Lodge, and, by the channel, unsubscribe clips, unsubscribe podcast. If you like my next one, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.